and welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones. So we are now back in the studio after our wonderful day at the Great Yorkshire Show yesterday. And I'll tell you what, big news. Alex Jones has hit the headlines, look, in the Yorkshire Post with her wonderful new friend, the Saddleback Pig.
Yes, Silver Wings.
Pig racing yesterday. What a wonderful day it was.
I look like I know what I'm doing there.
You do? That's absolutely superb. Yeah. Shall we get on with tonight's guest?
Yeah, let's
I'll put that back there. You can take that home, all right? Have
Give
a
it
good
to Mum
read
and
of that
Dad.
later on. Now,
Right.
we always knew that tonight's guest was a nice guy, but as a head teacher, well, he's even nicer.
And what you did with the guitar quite beggars belief. That is not how Kumbaya goes. Neil, so good to see you. I love what you're wearing. It really does. It's just a great ensemble. So similar to what you're wearing before. But your laissez-faire attitude to work is a great counterpoint to my by-the-book approach. Great having you on the staff, Neil.
Thank you.
Right.
Please welcome the wonderful Eddie Izzard.
Lovely to have you back with us, Eddie. Well, that clip was from a new film that's out in August called Absolutely Anything. So put that clip into context for us then. What's the plot?
The plot is Simon Pegg has powers. I have a very small cameo role. I'm in two, three scenes just coming in and invading his life. But he gets the power that he can do anything he wishes, and Kate Beckinsale is in it as well, and it's them two. They have the lead roles. It's really my film, actually. I only have 3 scenes, I think, but I think it was based around me, and then the other guys just had more speaking lines and that kind of stuff.
And Eddie, I mean, how pleased were you with that? Because that was the first time that you saw that clip.
So I was going, quick, watch it. Yes, that looks good. That looks okay. That's in the zone, because what you did before that, I'm being the most... the counterpoint is that I'm the most horrible person. I'm going Kumbaya. I was ad-libbing a lot of stuff about Kumbaya, and I don't normally do comedy roles. When it's filmed, I normally just do drama, and when I do the comedy on stage, and I keep this schizophrenic career separate. Right. So this is one of the few comedy roles I've done, and Terry Jones asked, and it's Python, and he's part of Python, and the other Pythons were in it, and so I said, yes, let's go do it.
Good.
Well, we'll talk more about it later, and also your trip to the Middle East and North East Africa. We're really looking forward to hearing about that as well.
Now, tomorrow is our last One Show before a little summer break. So have you... Well, I know that you have been packing, haven't you?
So the spare room is now the packing room. There's a rail with all the outfits. The shoes are lined up underneath, and the case is open, ready, you see?
Yeah, there you are.
What about you?
Well, I'll just put some flip-flops and a pair of shorts into a plastic bag.
Hopeless.
That'll be fine. But the question is, we want to know about your packing mayhem tonight. So if you have got bits and pieces everywhere and suitcases open, send us a picture and we will have a little look inside your suitcases later on.
We will. Well, if you haven't packed your bags for your summer holidays, you can always just buy someone else's, did you know?
Yeah, now this is an interesting thing, because keep your eyes peeled. You might see something that you used to own.
From clothes to jewellery and high-tech tablets, what we put in our suitcases has never been more valuable. These days, there's no such thing as travelling light. It's estimated us Brits pack almost £1,000 worth of possessions into our case when we go on holiday. Every year, up to 2.5 million suitcases go missing or unclaimed at British airports. So what happens to those castaway cases? Well, you might be surprised to discover that some of them and their contents end up going under the hammer at auction houses like this in Bristol. Passengers often claim on their insurance to replace valuables, and as airports and airlines aren't legally obliged to hang on to all this luggage, when suitcase owners can't be traced, the loot inside goes up for grabs. And there's serious money to be made. A single auction lot of clothes like this can fetch up to £200. So, who are the baggage bargain hunters at today's auction? There's Alex, the online seller. Graham, the devoted dad. Nico, he's got divine inspiration. And Mehmet, the perfume connoisseur. Alex packed in his job as a postman to run an online business selling holidaymakers homeless clothes. So you're hoping today to what? Buy all of this clothing here?
A good majority of it, yes.
What are you hoping to get it for?
On average, about £1,000 an auction I spend down here.
And what do you think that is going to return you on a good day?
Probably make £3,500.
So you're going to triple your money?
Triple your money.
I think I'm in the wrong job. Perhaps these luggage rummagers are onto something here. And Graham, an auction regular, has got his eye on this little gem. Very nice purse there. You're holding Alexandra Queen, but I don't think it suits you.
No, it's not really my colour, is it?
So, no, definitely not.
No.
Who's this for?
Well, it's my daughter's birthday. This might be something she'd like, so if it's at the right price, I'll take a chance.
I mean, how much are you going to go to?
I'll go up to, well, the hammer price, I suppose, a couple of hundred.
Why do you think somebody has left that at an airport and not tried to claim it?
I haven't a clue.
These prospective buyers are on the case and determined to get their hands on the booty at today's auction. But what will they end up paying? It's gavel time. First up are those bumper bags of unclaimed clothes. And Alex is nabbing nearly all the lots he was after, despite some fierce competition from other dealers online. Meanwhile, a bidding war's brewing over this cabinet of fancy fragrances. Mehmet's built a business selling the duty-free perfumes found in lost luggage. Are these good value?
The auction before, I paid about £800 and I got about 1,500.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
OK, so you nearly doubled your money. His competitor, Nico's a priest, so maybe he can call on a little divine intervention. Do your congregation know you come here and buy all these perfumes?
Why not? I told them if they come, they'd get a good deal here.
Ever offer it as a little sideline to you, to the holy water, do you?
No.
Yes, holy water free, or you can have a bottle of this. Extra cheap.
You get dumped.
Back to the auction room, and Mehmet's cool bidding style is working a treat, leaving poor old Nico without a prayer. Now, Nico, how do you feel about the fact you lost out?
Yeah, the guy's a tiger. He's a lion, man. He's got a very unique bidding style. He's a wonderful man.
And now it's Graham's turn to bid on that swanky Alexander McQueen clutch bag.
Now online, 170, 180 on the internet, 190 in the room.
Are you out, Graham?
I'm out. Gone.
Some you win, some you lose.
You're quite right there.
Your daughter doesn't realise how close she came to owning that purse, does she?
No.
Too pricey for Graham, but still a snip at £480, as it sells for more than twice that in the shops. Which just goes to prove there's definitely lost treasure to be found in our lost luggage. But I've got to be honest, I'm not really sure buying at suitcase auction is for me. No way. No, that wasn't a bid. I'm off.
That little clutch bag was a right find, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where's the nearest auction?
That is definitely a daytime show, that, isn't it? But you think, get off my case. You can imagine it now. You can imagine it now.
Very good, yeah. If you were going to go, Eddie, what sort of suitcase would you have your eye on?
I'm not sure. Was it a lucky dip thing? They kept it zipped up, or you could open it up?
I think you could have a little look around.
I think there's a bit of a mix, yeah.
I don't know. I would black, actually, black and hard wearing. If you try and have colours, definitely don't have light and fawn-coloured stuff because it just gets smashed around as it goes through and it comes back marked. Just dark colours. For the bags, inside it, I don't know.
I wonder if with the cellophane ones, those people who put cellophane all around their case, do they bother opening them or do they just sell them as they are because there's so much hassle?
All these questions could be answered in this daytime show, Al.
It could.
I mean, they could.
There's
a lot of content there. But, I mean, on a very serious note, Eddie, you've just got back from a trip to Djibouti. Just tell us why you were there.
Well, Djibouti is in the northeast of Africa. Opposite, across the Red Sea, is Yemen. I was actually born in the country of Yemen, in a city we call Aden, the Arabs call Aden, and they've had a tough time for decades, if not centuries, different factions fighting different people and not enough power, not enough democracy. And now they've got a civil war going on. And so thousands of refugees are trying to get out. Some are trapped inside the country. 25 million people in the country, about 21 million are affected, about 10 million of which are kids. So I was with UNICEF and I was in Djibouti. There is a refugee camp, which is 240k north of the main city there. So they have to go there to get registered. So it's really tricky. Kids are in danger. There's 45-degree, 50-degree heat with sandstorms. The wind gets really high, so you get sandstorms, and they just have to close themselves in the tent. And UNICEF's just doing great work doing inoculation. And I'm just trying to bring attention to it because we know about Sudan. We know there was a terrible earthquake in Nepal, but Yemen gets forgotten, has been forgotten down the eons of time, and I'm very
having been born there yourself. I mean, that's the obvious.
And my brother was born there. My parents met there. My parents were married there, and I want to learn Arabic. And eventually, my plan seriously is to go back to aid and perform there in Arabic. And so that is a crazy long-term thing, and they can't even go back at the moment.
No.
These kids.
And you mentioned that you met a lot of children who were being affected by the crisis. Tell us about the little 7-year-old girl then you met. What was her situation?
Go ahead. She's 7 years old. Her sister's 11, who had to stay behind with a blind grandmother, so the families are getting split up. Their house has now been destroyed. They had to get across. Her mother was pregnant, and the mother had to hold on to the baby, not have the baby until she got to the other side, got to Djibouti, and then the next baby, the baby was born. And so it's such a tough time for Go Ahead and her brothers and sisters. The school, just trying to get them back into school is a very important thing, because we're trying to get everyone's trying to help all countries to get healthy and well and up on their feet, but this is going backwards, civil war, and they're losing what education they did have.
And there's the school that you were in.
So they are in there, and they're just learning, doing their ABCs there.
Oh.
So I thought I'd join in there. And they're learning French, because they speak French in Djibouti. That was French colonial, British colonial, the European countries. We did all this colonial stuff, and then we all left. And so there's complications that go on.
And that's the difficulty when you leave a situation like that and come back to the craziness of this.
I know. I would go into that camp, and then I could go back and go to the hotel. But if people can help, if they can just Google UNICEF UK, and they can go on there and they can do whatever they can help with, because just £5 gets a whole week's supply of nutritious food, or 60 polio vaccinations. It's a small amount of money to such a huge amount there.
Can't it?
Yeah, well, help
you, Eddie.
if you can. Now, did you read about the man who recently got arrested after charging his phone on the London Overground Tube network, just by the doorway there? Apparently it's illegal.
Is it? Well, when you've got to charge, Matt, you've got to charge. What can I say? But how low does your battery have to go before you start panicking?
Surely.
Are you 20%?
Me, well, earlier I turned my phone on to check and see what the battery life was, and it ran out of charge.
Right.
But anyway, surely there is more to life, isn't there, than battery life?
The phone says no power, but it's still working. How long have I got left? No emails, no calls, no text, no Twitter. Oh, phone, please don't die! What is happening to me?
Michael, I think you're suffering from nomophobia.
So what is nomophobia?
A fear of not having access to your phone or not being able to communicate with your friends or colleagues.
And how many people suffer with this?
We were commissioned by the Post Office, and we actually found there were 13 million sufferers of nomophobia.
If you think you're suffering from nomophobia, then prevention is better than cure. So, Charlotte, what can sufferers of nomophobia actually do?
Turning off some of the functions is a really great way to save battery. So if you're not using GPS, Wi-Fi or 3G mobile, turning that off really helps. You could turn down the brightness. Another thing, if you're travelling on trains or on the motorway, it's worth just putting it on flight mode if you're not using your phone at that point, because that'll suck up your battery no end.
That nomophobia is a terrible thing to suffer with, so to help out those poor individuals, I've brought the One Show charging station.
Somebody answers the phone.
Can I charge your phones for you? Give you a bit of charge. 49%?
49%.
What have you been doing all morning?
I run a few businesses. I'm an entrepreneur.
So what would you do if this battery just went dead?
I'd freak out. I would run to the nearest store and get another charger.
I'd be a little bit anxious about it.
Make me a little bit nervous, I have to say.
I'd probably just go home and charge it.
I normally go to charge in the car, I normally go to charge at work.
Separate charger at work and a separate charger in the lounge and a separate charger in my bedroom.
Oh, really?
This is an extra battery, but the very idea of running low, I just can't.
It's today's society. It's very hard to stay in contact with anybody or to establish any kind of stability or success if you're not connected via telecommunication.
There is a good thing about nomophobia, and it's the comfort and feeling of well-being you get from a fully charged phone. 100%.
That's the comfort zone, 100%.
I can't believe this is a topic these days. I find it extraordinary, but there we are. Anyway, Eddie, earlier on we touched on absolutely everything.
Yes.
Anything, sorry, absolutely anything. This film, you said it's not a big part that you've got, but you are sharing.
But it is the main part.
It is the main part. It is the main part.
But it is the main. I think that's what people will feel.
Yeah.
I think Simon and Kate would agree on that. If I gave them a lot of money.
But you are sharing the same stage, if you like, as some of your comedy heroes.
Absolutely.
The Pythons.
The Pythons are in it. I went to 7 out of 10 of their shows last summer.
Yeah.
I would have gone to 10 out of 10, but first day I was in America touring.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of them, and And you know, Spike Milligan, I think, from the Goons, he created alternative comedy, almost worldwide alternative comedy, and they've personified it. And you can go around the world, as I've played now 27 countries, you can say Monty Python, like in French, Monty Python, and they go, Monty Python, yeah, and they like it, but they don't really do it. Interesting, Germany and France don't do much surreal comedy. Germany does do a lot of comedy, France does a lot of comedy, but they don't do much surreal, so I'm trying to bring it in there. And there are 5 guys at the moment doing surreal comedy in France, and I'm touring France in September and October, which is going to be beautiful because no one does that.
Huge achievement.
All in French, tout en français. And
well, one of the people who've inspired you, I mean, he's to do with this film, is the late great Robin Williams,
yes,
because he voices the character of the dog in it, but he wrote the film as well, didn't he? His last film.
I didn't know that he'd written it as well, but yeah, it's. Robin was... I met him on a film in Britain when I was at stand-up workshop school back in 1977, 78, when everyone was children. They were saying, Robin Williams, this is the top of the line, this is where you can go to. And then I met him on a film, and I pushed it instantly. So, could you watch this video, please? Dad, my comedic father figure, kind of, can you watch this, please? And he watched it almost immediately and started repeating lines to me. And then he became producer on the show when I was in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and he just made it very...
But he was well into his stand-up as well, wasn't it? Apparently when he came over here to film movies or anything like that, he would go around and do stand-up in the clubs because he just had to get all of his comedy out.
He would. He loved doing it, and it's a very sad thing that he had to check out. I'm not dealing with it well. I just don't. I just assume that he's still around. But his films are still with us, and he did great stuff.
He did so much.
And he was a nice guy. He was a really nice guy.
One of those that ran out of life because he did so much with his time. Now, you will probably know that sound waves... this is so random. We're changing topics so quickly tonight. Yeah. It just seems ridiculous. But anyway, you probably know that sound waves can do this.
But you probably didn't know that they're capable of doing this.
These are ordinary polystyrene beads. Now, watch very carefully. Abracadabra. Levitation. This isn't some sort of optical illusion. This bead really is suspended in midair. It's not just a single bead. I can position other beads around it, and they all stay in place. They're not held there by magic, but by the power of sound. Turn off the source of the sound, and all the beads fall. Phil Bassingdale is an engineer from the University of Bristol.
We have a speaker at the top, and that's playing ultrasound. So this is sound that's too high a frequency for us to hear. That sound is bouncing backwards and forwards between these two reflectors and creating something called a standing wave. And these beads are being trapped in that standing wave.
It's odd to think sound alone can have such a physical effect, but it's something many of us have experienced. If you've ever stood close to the speakers at a music concert, you'll have felt the power of sound as it rumbles your insides. And that's because sound can physically affect the objects around it because of the way that it moves. Sound moves through the air as a wave, and this spring can show how it travels. If I use this box here, I can tune the frequency of the wave going up the spring so it's exactly in time with the wave that's coming back down. When I flick the spring, a wave travels up, hits the ceiling, and travels back down. If I use a machine to get the timing of waves just right, parts of the spring vibrate madly, while other parts remain motionless. And what you get is you get these areas. There's one here, there's one here, and there's one about here, where the spring doesn't appear to be moving at all. And that's because the wave going up exactly cancels out the wave coming down, and you get these things that are called nodes here. These nodes act as a platform, and it's here that the beads are held in place. This is all fascinating, though not much practical use. But Phil and his colleagues are looking at whether the same technique can solve real-world problems. Phil, tell me, what have we got here?
Under my microscope here, I've got a device to trap algae. So these are microscopic organisms that you would find in a pond. And we can see those algae on the screen. So this image on the screen is from the camera. We can see our algae floating around. When I turn this device on, we're going to create that standing wave. And as you can see on the screen, the algae are immediately lined up into these clearly defined lines, in exactly the same way as the polystyrene beads were levitated.
Using this technology, Phil hopes that sound can be used to help purify water. It would allow scientists to separate algae, dirt or bacteria into specific areas and filter them off, leaving clean water behind. So far, this technology is limited to the lab, but scientists and engineers are looking at ways to bring it out into the real world. And while it's early days yet, we're only just beginning to appreciate the power of sound.
Well, Phil, from that film, joins us now from Bristol University with news of another way that sound waves can be used. And we're going to start with temperature. Now, how can sound measure heat?
Well, quite simply, we've got a speaker on one side of this box and a microphone on the other side. So we're playing a sound and we're listening to it. And we know the distance between those two, so we can calculate the speed. And temperature is dependent on speed. So as it gets hotter, the sound is going to travel faster.
Yeah.
So then we can calculate the temperature inside that box. So you can see, what temperature is it?
I mean, yeah, well, it's fluctuating. It's fluctuated quite a lot, hasn't it, Eddie?
So that's the exact temperature inside this box, and we don't have to have a thermometer. So,
so why wouldn't you use the thermometer then? Is this more accurate?
So we're taking a direct measurement straight away, and if we were in a chemical reaction cell, we couldn't put a thermometer in because it was too dangerous. We could use sound to measure the temperature.
Right, OK. Let's move on now to wind measurement.
Let's go to wind, right. So we've got our wind machine, our hairdryer here.
From the makeup room?
Oh, yes. And so we're sending sound backwards and forwards between these two.
OK.
And it's like a travelator. So if I was running on a travelator, that travelator being the wind, I'm going to go faster in one direction than the other direction.
What's a travelator?
You know, a running machine.
We get in the airport to get you places
quickly.
It's
a travelator,
That's a travelator?
I think so.
If you go the wrong way.
Oh, we're not seeing gladiators.
Walking what?
Yeah.
So the sound...
floors, you know, moving floors.
The sound goes faster with the wind than it does in the other direction. So we can calculate how fast it's going.
Have a little look around there, Eddie, to see if it's changing.
And this machine can measure speeds up to 200 miles an hour.
7 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour.
And they use them in typhoon areas because...
Well, you know, with how loud that... I mean, this is ultrasound, so we can't hear it, yeah? But if it was a frequency that we could hear, how loud would that be?
I think it'd be about as loud as we're talking to each other now.
So not
too loud at all.
Not very loud. What about rainfall, then? Let's turn that off. Off we go to the paddling pool.
Rainfall. So, it's been
here.
raining in London. We've got a paddling pool full of water, maybe just raining just here. And we're using a machine here to bounce sound, ultrasound, off the surface of the water. It comes back, and we're measuring the delay, the time that it takes for the sound to go down and come back. And from that, we can calculate the height of the water.
I see. So this is the distance between the surface and that little monitor.
It's raining a lot, as you can see.
And this is quite a new device you've got here, isn't it? It's in the early stages.
Exactly.
All right.
So this is the brand new one-show weather forecast. We can see it's gone up. We've measured the rain.
Phil. That's great.
Phil, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sound advice.
Well, Carrie went to meet a 90s pop star whose biggest hit was so catchy, it will have you singing it, whatever the weather.
I'll never give up looking for my baby.
Lisa Stansfield almost seemed to appear from nowhere, catapulted to the top of the charts in 1989 by her award-winning song, All Around the World. But her overnight success actually took a decade of hard work, playing the pubs and clubs around her hometown of Rochdale in Lancashire.
I was on between, like, the bingo and the pies. You know, at these working men's clubs. And they're all going, oh, isn't she lovely?
Lisa's singing career had started while she was still at school. She won a talent competition aged just 14 and went on to present an ITV music show. It was also here at school that Lisa first laid eyes on Ian Devaney, later her co-writer and partner.
The first time I met Ian, my now husband, and he was sitting right here where I'm standing, playing the guitar, and it was like, oh, it's gorgeous.
Was it love at first sight?
It was for me. I don't think he even noticed me.
Lisa made a bigger impression a few years later after a chance meeting in a pub. They went on to form a band with Ian's mate Andy Morris and secured a gig at the local football club.
We were really nervous and about 200 people turned up, which was quite incredible.
Their band, Blue Zone, went on to win a record contract. But after Lisa featured on a top 20 dance hit, the record company chose to promote her as a solo artist.
Oh, I burst out crying. I was like, I can't do it without my friends. So it is quite daunting, really, to carry the onus of everything, you know.
However, the three of them continued to work together, writing in a makeshift studio at the back of Lisa's house.
That was my house. And this pub became our headquarters. Really?
It's where it all happens.
A lot of songs were written in this pub, I'll tell you. Me and Ian and Andy were all together, and Ian said, I've sort of had an idea for this song, something to do with like all around the world. So I just started, and I was like, oh, been around the world and I. And I'm trying to think of like what the next line can be. And I kept singing I, and we all kept laughing. And then after a certain time, we all just said, it's pretty good actually, that, isn't it? Maybe we should just leave it.
By the time the song All Around the World was released, Lisa had found her baby when she and Ian finally got together as a couple.
We kept it a secret for a long time because we were working together, and we felt that the working relationship was incredible, and to jeopardise that was like ridiculous. It just eventually happened, you know.
But the relationship and her career went from strength to strength, and Lisa became a global superstar.
Nothing can ever prepare you for anything like that. It literally is like getting thrown into a swimming pool at the deep end and you can't swim, but you very quickly learn. And you learn to do the butterfly. He never did me wrong, I was the one. The weakest one of all, and now I'm oh so sad. I've got a lot to thank that song for. It's like a person to me now. I did too much lying, wasted too much time. Now I'm here and crying. I've sung that song so many times, and I've got to know it like a friend. So we fall out sometimes, but usually we get along. Good one.
Yeah.
Thanks to Carrie and to Lisa.
Yes.
And, well, it seems like a lot of you are off around the world. This is Ariana from Rothwell. She's packing for a year.
Wow.
She's going to study in Australia. Good luck getting the piano on the plane.
Sam has done his packing on his dinner table. That's how I do it, see, in piles.
And this is Zach, Cameron and Hermione. They're going to the Forest of Dean. Have a lovely time, everybody.
Yes, enjoy. Tomorrow we will be here with Usain Bolt, and have a lovely summer holiday.
I will do.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks for your company tonight.
Yeah,
all the
thank
best.
you very
Good night.
much. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Night.
EastEnders next with a knock on the door.